welcome. We're live. This fantasy podcast. I know this is the day those Arsenal fans have been waiting for the Twitter call. But before I go and introduce the guest, let me start first of all. If you're watching this anywhere, like, share, subscribe on YouTube, Footy Fantasy. You see it's description. We also have an audio podcast. Spotify, Apple. Do all of that. Share on social media. Um, Today, first, Greeny steaming back for the second time this season. Thanks
Yep, think so. Thanks for having me.
you can see he's on the beach having fun, excited to join us. Some of our teams are on the beach too, but I won't go into that yet. Ray, thanks for joining
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, we got two Arsenal fans. I got Kwame. I know.
Yeah, it's like we stepped into the Lions den.
Yeah, we are. We are in the Lions Den right now. So we just dive in. Yesterday, Arsenal, Manchester United. If you're under a rock, of course, it ended 3-1 to Arsenal. I think I'll let Ray start. Thoughts about the game? Let's start. What are the main talking points about the game from your perspective?
All right, okay. I'll start kind of like myself going into the game. Initially, after the Chelsea game, my approach towards the United game was a little different. In the sense that I was cautiously optimistic. In my mind was like we should beat Manchester United. Like you guys are a mess. We kind of got back into that good victory against Chelsea. So I'm thinking logically we should beat Man United. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, we always have this thing where we struggle against Manchester United, even when to get the results. Like I'll play you guys over the year. So I was kind of carrying that cautious optimism into the game. But like logically, I was like, based on where we are, we should be United. So as the game progressed, the form of the players, just being able to just like take the game to you guys, and of course, I like El Nani coming in to shore up that midfield a little bit. He had a pretty good game actually. And so going to that game, when we scored, I wasn't surprised. But then again, when when Ronaldo scored that goal, then those kind of nerves started to come back again. I'm like, oh, here we go again. We've dominated this half against United. Ronaldo gets a goal, and I was a bit worried that was going to sort of get into the players and end up in some sort of 2-2 draw, something which would annoy the crap out of me. But the second half, as we got into the second half, and it was a back and forth game, obviously, but we just moved the ball better in transition than you guys, and so that kind of game actually suits us better, and not even without having Partey in the team and all that. So. I'm really happy for Xhaka actually. When he scored that goal, it was like I remember it was like yo, Xhaka, just shoot. Like that's like what we know Xhaka from when we signed Xhaka. Like I remember that, and he has that one per season.
He has scored 30% of his goals against Manchester United.
Oh well, there you go. It's a perfect stat right there. So obviously he's got De Gea's number. So I'm really happy for De Gea and got that goal. And happy for Xhaka getting that goal. And honestly, like we were the better team. Let's be honest. So I'm glad like the logic and what I thought should have transpired is what transpired. And so yeah, I'll leave it at that. We'll get into other details later. But I'm glad that we should have beat you and we did what we were supposed to do, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. Steven, what are your thoughts about the game?
Yeah, no, very similar. It's one of those that you kind of expect to get a result, but you know that United are capable of just turning up and beating Arsenal regardless of form. So the game, again, the open games suit Arsenal. So like Ray said, we're really good in transition with the younger players, really a lot of speed, a lot of really tricky players on the ball. So that suits us, and United had to win the game. So I knew that United weren't going to come and park the bus or set up and try and hit us on the break, which they've done a lot in some of the most recent games. So the game suited us. I think the game was pretty open. It could have gone anyway, to be honest, because of the quality United haven't as well. So they were still in the game. So the game wasn't a 3-1, I wouldn't say. But again, just the extra little bit of confidence and speed, I think, on the ball for Arsenal. And Arsenal being more of a team than United, I think, is what got them through in the end. But yeah, no, just good result and good performance in the last two, considering what's happened a couple of weeks before.
Okay, so one of the Arsenal fans already come from me. AY, smile small, man. Please. Yomi Benson says, I disagree. Arsenal were the better side. Interesting. Okay. Those dodgy calls though. Let's go talk about that.
Yeah, the game was open, right? So, like I said, the game was really open. I think Arsenal were the better team, and they
Yep.
were just more dynamic and had a lot more pace. Like I said, so they were able to take advantage of situations better than United, because United are depending on something happening from Bruno or something happening from Ronaldo, or Arsenal are building attacks. Like, even if you look at that second goal, right? Like the back to front and everything that happened. Like, Arsenal a better team. I think that's what that showed the game. United can complain about a couple of things in the game for sure, but I just think Arsenal were the better team in terms of just organization and what they do.
Yeah, so the one I want to address for sure is the penalty. That one on Sancho and I think Cedric. Come on now. That was a stonewall penalty. And I know it was Arsenal now. We'll start seeing compilations on the timeline of how like whatever referee did this in 2016, this is a pattern, there's a conspiracy theory, that's what they've been doing all season. But hey.
No sympathy at all.
Is there no sympathy at all?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take some more comments. Yomi says, of course, soccer is a two-headed sword. Yeah, fair enough. Weren't. Oga Kwame, thoughts?
Yeah. Well, so let me talk about the dodgy calls. Remember when we beat them 3-2? Was it when Carrick was had taken over the team?
Yeah.
There was a really dodgy call in favor of Manchester United then. I believe it was a Maguire foul on somebody in the box. I forgot who. So I mean, I have complaints from yesterday's game. There were that. I think the penalty you talked about, that was a stonewall penalty. The goal Ronaldo scored, that the second goal that got disallowed, bruh. That VAR angle was dodgy as so anyway, but again, that's not why we lost the game. I think Arsenal coming into that game, I expected to lose. Having seen how we played against Liverpool, in that Liverpool game, I only watched the first half of it, and that was enough for me because I did not want to witness another 5-0. So I turned off the TV at halftime, and going into Arsenal, I thought we were going to play the same way we played against Liverpool. The only thing I expected was that, well, Arsenal are not so great either, so maybe we can look, decent, half decent against Arsenal. And the game started, and look, Arsenal were all over us like a freaking rash. Like they were all over us. Like, and they knew it's like they knew how to play against United.
Yeah.
I feel like every team knows how to play against United. Just ignore the flanks, play through the middle because we are weak in the middle. They were passing through us like we were not there. We like the ease with which El Nani and what's that young boy with the short socks, Smith Rowe. Like the ease with which they just penetrated, like, bruh, they got us pregnant like 4 times yesterday. Like they must have, they were just going in, like no lube, no nothing. So it was a terrible game of football. But then, just like I expected, because again, Arsenal does not play football with the same. They do not, and they did not play with the same firepower with which Liverpool plays football, right? So there were times where they gave us like a little look in, and they made us look like a half decent team, and we had like maybe a couple of chances. Again, we had that Ronaldo goal, but the thing with United is, not only are we bad, right? Whenever somebody gives us a gift, we're like, nah, I'm good. Bruno Fernandes misses that penalty, and I knew it was over. Like as soon as he stepped up, I knew he was gonna miss because he'd had a stinker the entire game. Not sure why he took the penalty. Not sure why the team let him take it. Maybe because he had had a really, really bad game up until then, and they wanted to build some kind of confidence. But bro, in games like this, I don't care about the individual. F the individual, we need a goal. Like at that time it was 2-1, right? And then we equalized 2-2. Only God knows what would have happened. So but you know what? Big up to Arsenal. They're still not gonna make top 4, but big up to them for winning that game yesterday. I have to put my hand up. They got that one.
Your mister is right. They're definitely better team. I agree. But on the night, United were ahead for the most part. Okay. I don't
I,
know.
We were? I don't
okay,
think
I don't
so.
know that.
I
Yeah,
don't know about that.
I
This
don't
Yeah,
know
man
that's
said
that.
payback
But
for
okay.
2005. Oh my God.
please hold your L with pride. You see, remember 2005.
Ayo, you see, they go back to 1982.
Very soon after
2005, bro. Different.
2005. Really, in my opinion,
Mm.
I don't think we're a better team. I think we had periods. Like I think after that first goal till like when Bruno lost the penalty, I think there was a time we were like kind of on top of them. But
Yeah,
overall, I think Arsenal like played better for sure. They played better than us.
yeah,
Bruno Fernandez pretty much lost that game for us, in my opinion.
yeah,
Because first of all, he missed that chance
yeah.
where was your keeper passed to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ramsdale passed to him. It's open goal, just chip him. He
No,
missed
no, no.
it.
It wasn't even a pass. It was a pass that McTominay intercepted and
Correct.
then
Yes.
gave it to Bruno on a play.
So that's one. He missed the penalty. Apparently, in the press conference, Ronaldo said he was tired. That's what Ragnick said in the press conference. So that they talked to each other. So he decided to let him play. I don't know if that's true. Whatever.
The lies that come out of this football club, I'm sick of it.
Excuses, man.
And the third goal, if you remember the third goal, the cutback, it was him that
Mm-hmm.
tapped it and lost the ball again. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is this? So
yeah,
he lost that game for us, in my opinion.
yeah,
Like it was terrible.
yeah.
I think who was the man of the match for that? That's the one thing I've been struggling to decide in my head. There was no outstanding. Maybe Shaka for the goal. It wasn't like it was outstanding.
On the Arsenal side,
Like
El Neni ran the game.
is that who? El Neni?
I think El Neni was
Yeah,
man of the match.
It was man of the match.
Easy.
yeah.
Okay.
that'll be mine too.
El Neni was man of the match. Okay. I watched the game in bits and parts. So yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it was for United, they played like they were checked out until they were down like 2-0.
But they're not checked out. I just don't think they're a team. Like United have had two managers. They still haven't managed to figure out a system. They got players trying to do jobs that they're not suited to do. Like United are just they got decent individuals, but they're not great individuals either. They got one or two really top players, and the rest of the team, like I mean, when we spoke the last time, I'm like people like Fred and McTominay and Dallo and shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. Like
It's fact.
they're just not. They're not a good team, and I think that's it. Again, you're gonna get spells where you're looking for Bruno to bail you out. You're looking for Ronaldo to bail you out, Pogba, but the rest. Nah, like you just take that squad, take your starting 11 and compare it to the other six, and tell me who gets in the other six.
And Stephen, while that is true, it's even more complicated by the fact that these players have actually down tools. I believe they have honestly put down
But
their tools and walked away from the
but
construction, right?
Ooh, though.
And
but I'm gonna ask you a question as well though on that one. If you were in their position and the interim manager is walking in and saying there's 10, 11 players, we need open heart surgery, like so basically he's telling you you're rubbish. To
yeah,
your face he's telling you you're rubbish, and he's telling
yeah,
you that you're not going to be there next season regardless
hmm
of what happens, right? He's
but
telling
but
them. Like
but Stephen, the
he's
problem,
telling them they're not gonna be there.
the thing is, they're them walking away preceded him saying all these things. Like at
No,
the beginning,
United. No, United were basically the favourites for the top four up until
bruh,
what 2 months
no,
ago.
That is true.
No,
that is true, but
you're
true
not.
United fans knew that was BS. We
You're not
knew that was
favorites.
not
No,
true.
but
We
what I'm
knew that
saying
was
to you
not
is, if
true.
you
Mm.
no again, if he comes in as the interim manager,
Yeah,
his one job is to steady the ship and steer the players. If you think someone's rubbish, you can say the person's rubbish behind closed doors to upstairs,
correct.
but you don't go in a press conference and tell like 15 of these guys shouldn't be at this football club, blah blah blah, after one or two defeats. Like what that does, especially when the players are out of contract anyway. They're not playing for you. They're not. Why should I play for you? You're telling me I'm not going to be here regardless of if we get top four or not.
Yep. That's a good point. That's a very good point. But I think there's some
Mm.
context to it. Let me add some context, right? Remember he came like November, right? When he came in November, he tried to implement like a press. The players didn't want to do it. They did it for like 45 minutes. And it's like, oh, they can't do it. He talks to the board that he wants two midfielders, if you remember that. They
Yeah,
wanted Zakaria and Haidara. Zakaria was 5 million. The board were like, oh no, they want to let the full-time manager sign players. Okay. Okay, that's dumb. You bring somebody in October, there's like, oh, I think starting November, December. There's a lot of the season left. You say it's interim, you still want top four, but then you don't buy a midfielder. That's one of the dumbest things ever I've heard. And then they don't buy a midfielder. Of course, like we had some good games, some bad games, fluctuating. But when we started getting some injuries like Pogba, it decided immediately straight away problems started happening. And at that point, he realized that everything they promised him, pretty much he's coming like a sideman. So he said, okay, I'm a sideman, I'm going to burn to the ground. That's literally what he did.
But
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but
but
okay.
you just raised the same point, right? Like the point is a great one. So he wanted to sign a player. When they brought Ralph in, they said he was going to be an advisor. He was going to be a director of football, which
correct,
means he was supposed to have the power to
correct.
determine the direction of the club. So what happened to that inside of 2 months? Inside of 2 months, you said that the guy was coming in with that power, where the players would have had to kind of cede some respect, some kind of, and then you said, no. He's not advising on the appointment. He's not making decisions behind the scenes in terms of recruitment.
I had
So
this same
Yep.
conversation in WhatsApp group. Jola can, Oga Kwame
it's
can
nuts.
testify. I was having this conversation 2 hours ago. Like, it doesn't make sense to judge a manager when the people that brought him did not give him any power, and they made it public that
Yeah.
he doesn't have the power, and you expect
Yeah.
it there. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm not blaming Ralph. Ralph has been disappointing tactically,
Yeah.
organization.
The,
That I agree, but the people that hired him are very dumb and stupid. The way they went their approach, very
the
very stupid.
United board lied to the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple as.
I've
Oh
been
yeah.
saying
Once
this
again.
already.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what happened. They
Yeah.
came, they said director of football, and all of a sudden he changed midway to this BS. So that's why
So I have a
go ahead, great.
I have a question going on. So now, not that I care, but just for the sake of the conversation, Ragnick is he? So
You ain't
now
gotta say that. You ain't gotta say
is
that
he?
You gotta see that part there,
Well, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so what's the role? Is he going upstairs now that you
Fam,
hired a new coach, or are they firing him? What is the? I
No,
don't know.
I
he
think we don't know whether he's going up or down. We just know he's moonwalking and moonwalking
To
is
no,
crip
where?
walking.
no.
He's just man is crip
They,
walking and moonwalking. We don't know where he's going.
no. They said he's no because they're giving him a contract, right? So he's
Yeah,
got the contract,
correct.
so they're not going to go back on that, and it's an advisory role.
Yeah,
So he's going to be working for them what on hours per week or some stupid
Yeah,
thing
like
like that.
four
So the
hours a
guy,
week.
it's stupid. Like
True,
so,
true.
basically, he's another person on the wage bill being paid just to be paid, basically, because he
right,
got no power.
right.
Yeah.
Let me take some comments before you
Mm.
go. There are a lot of comments flying in. You miss anything with a little tactical nuance with Man United. I
Oh,
agree.
of course. Even Norwich almost did it.
Yep. Nah, there was a
Well,
block for Bruno shot. Stop lying, Joe. All right. I don't know what he's talking about. I would have given Saka or Odegaard man of the match. El Neni was good too. Man, fair enough. Ola, that's Ola. How about United was still the challenge for the title? That's people that were dumb.
By non-United fans.
Yeah, I was gonna tell him that that's not gonna happen, but yeah,
Yeah.
Brought the
Gary
fire.
Neville. Let's not forget time, eh?
Yeah,
Like
I never. Yes,
Gary Neville and most of the pundits on TV. Like, I mean, Ferdinand was
Those,
twerking for fun for months.
I
those
remember.
guys,
I
Stephen, those
remember.
guys live way outside the realms of reality. Like
I remember.
nobody agrees with those guys.
Brought,
They're just dumbasses with microphones. That's all.
brought the fireman to a burning building and didn't give him a drop of water. Fair enough. People ask him to focus on coaching. It's like telling him to blow out the flames. So, I don't understand people. Like I've had this conversation on my WhatsApp group. I was going crazy in my head, but I'm learning not to like blow up again on top United. Like I was going crazy in my head. Like, this doesn't make sense, but whatever. It's easy to blame the manager. We forgot that after Ole signed the contract, this team has been playing like this. When individuals like Bruno and Rashford specials have been bailing them out.
yeah. Facts.
People were cracks. We never
Favorite for cracks.
yeah, we just indeed our luckily forwards were informed last and we look so good. No,
Mhm.
I caught so many strays for saying this thing. Oga Kwame caught so much strays
Oh
for
yeah.
saying this thing. I remember this. I got from United fans about this that I'm a whole Ole hater. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy gave me the best moments as a United fan when I was a teenager. And fan almost caught my hand. He said I'm an Ole hater. What? You guys don't even know anything. Like, go just get out of here. But whatever. Let's move on. Next topic.
Okay.
Arsenal topic. So I'll start with Ray. Let me frame the context very well. So I think beginning of the season, I think top six, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong. was said that is the target for Arsenal. That will be looked at as progress. Maybe not success, but progress. But based on the opportunity that's presented themselves, United fumbling the bag, Spurs fumbling the bag, both teams are fired managers, Leicester just Brendan Rodgers doing Brendan Rodgers, thing as always. So the opportunity is now there. You guys are like pretty much you guys are in pole position. As at today, as at this hour, Arsenal is fourth. If Arsenal for some reason doesn't finish fourth, based on how the situation has changed, you used to count that as success. Let's start Ray.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think good context that you mentioned earlier was like for me at least, getting at least Europa League was at the beginning of the season before we kicked the ball. That was like, okay, if we don't get Europa League, to me it's a failure because that would be like 3 years in a row of 8th, 7th place spot. Then of course we had the first couple of games is looking a little dodgy. We picked it up then, so now we've kind of got ourselves in a situation where I think we're actually way ahead of schedule. And if I actually like step back and take my emotions out of the game, because I get very emotional during the games, I chat rubbish. I'm sure Stephen can attest to that sometimes. And but logically, I'm like, okay, we're way ahead of schedule. I think right now I think top four is still it's still a battle. Yes, technically it's a pole position, but it's still a battle at the end of the day because we still have a pretty tough run in compared. Well, I say similar to Tottenham because United are out of it now. If we don't get Champions League, it would be unfortunate because I feel like we got ourselves ahead of schedule, and I feel like in the January window, there's two positions that we should have gotten, a striker and a midfielder. And I understand there's reasons they didn't do that I might not have agreed with, just to like get that extra bit of oomph to give us that because right now we're a young squad, we're a very thin squad, so we're definitely doing way ahead of schedule now. And I'm not trying to come up with excuses. I'm just thinking. So if we don't make Champions League right now, it would be unfortunate, and I'll feel like we kind of shot ourselves in the foot in January because, as you saw, the couple of games before Chelsea, a little bit of squad depth would have given us a couple more points than we had those 3 games. But I would say if we don't make Champions League, it would be disappointing because it would mean we just couldn't finish the job. I wouldn't think it to be a failure if we don't make Europa, which I don't know right now where we're at, but that would be an absolute disaster if we don't make Europa at this point, which I'm not even putting that in my frame of reference at this point, but that's kind of how it would be disappointing, but I wouldn't think it would be a failure because like we're so close. It's like, all we had to do is, and it was looking dodgy before the Chelsea United game, but right now that would be my take on that.
Okay, good. Steve, what are your thoughts?
No, I would agree, but just in a different way. I don't think we're ahead of schedule. I think we're right on schedule. I just think the teams around us have regressed, and that's allowed us the opportunity to get fourth. So I don't think we're ahead of schedule. I think we're right where we're supposed to be because, again, at this phase, I think we should be challenging for Europa, like you said. So I think the fact that we've got a similar amount of points that we had last year, I think we're actually at the level. We're level on points pretty much as this what we ended last season on.
Okay.
So there's been a little bit of progress there, considering we got like 5 games, 6 games left. So I think we're right where we're supposed to be. I just think the fact that Leicester have fumbled away, I think the fact that United have fumbled away means that now Europa, all of these teams are now in the Europa places rather than having a couple that were maybe just below Chelsea, Liverpool, and City, right? So I think they've come closer to us all in terms of battling Europa type places, but I don't think we're ahead of schedule. And in terms of the January, again, we went back and forth. Like if they could have done the business and it was the type of business they were allegedly trying to do. So if they were to go and get a Vlahovic, if they were to go and get a top midfielder, Bruno would have been a good midfielder. I don't know why we didn't pull the trigger on that one before he went to Newcastle, but I think those were the deals they were looking to do. But if they get through wherever they get through, again, Europa League, Champions League would be a bonus, a massive bonus because of what it will allow them to do. But even with Europa League, I don't think it changes the transfer policy that they have. So I think everybody's getting a bit excited saying, if we get Champions League, it means we can go and buy X, Y, and Z players. I don't think they're going to change their transfer policy because of Champions League. Because the reality is City and Liverpool are City and Liverpool. And then after them, you got Chelsea. So if you're going to spend 300-400 million and you're not going to close the gap on those two teams and then Chelsea even before you get to them, they're not going to just go and do that. So I don't think their transfer policy is going to change. I think they're going to have some people in mind that they want to get, and I think they know exactly who those people are, and I think they're going to go for them again in the summer and progress that way. And I feel better with the way Arsenal are going in that route than trying to keep up with the Joneses, like trying to chase Sancho's and like names and like that's where United are in the place that United are in. I think Arsenal can't afford to do that. They got to stay with what they're doing. They got really good young players. They need a couple of experienced players in certain positions to improve the squad. And so, for example, if they bring in a young winger and they move on Pepe, that's a deal, right? Everybody's going to go, well, why they've spent 17, they can afford to write the deal off. Write it off. If you get 25 million, 20 million, you take it and you go in and get in a Gakpo, that's an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about improving the squad and trying to build and be ready for when you're closer to the Man City and the Liverpool, because those teams are going to get rebuilt at some phase.
Yep.
City are going to go faster than Liverpool. That's the fact. Like City need a striker, they're buying Haaland. That's next level.
Yeah.
You're not competing with that now. So you got to look 3-4 years out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good point. Quick comment. Your miss as a neutral have better success in the long term than UCL, in my opinion. I don't think it is ready for pressure yet. UCL will be slow progress, in my opinion. UCL, is that Europa? I think
That the Europa Conference League. I think that's
that's what I meant. Okay. So I think now Arsenal fans are getting.
you know, man, it's like nah.
I think you guys are scheduled. I mean, as bad as United and Spurs have been this season, we are still in the fourth conversation. All right. You guy came in hard.
We're not getting cocky. We're just talking facts, but okay.
That's not, isn't that what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what he said.
I think he was responding to when Ray first talked. I think that's what he was doing before you talk. I assume that's what he did. Hey, so opinion, it's okay.
Hey, it's all good.
That was on the mind. Man is a bit too defeatist. All this talk of United being 6 years behind and giving up on top 4 with 5 games to go. There's a place for positive vibes. Fair point. I suspect that's Chucky. That's either Chucky or Bucci. One of the two. But that's fair. Oga Kwame, staying on conversation.
I think with Arsenal, Arsenal is in that little, and I'm trying to be a neutral here because I hate them. The Arsenal, they're in that little sweet spot where, remember where Oli was after in his like first full season, where people said he made progress, right? And I think there was one season where we finished second, and we only finished second because Liverpool were like piss poor. I think what happened with Chelsea, that was the Lampard season with Chelsea. And Spurs, they were doing Spurs things. And because of that, we managed to finish second, and we were all screaming, progress. Well, they were screaming progress, all that stuff. I think if Arsenal finishes fourth, it won't be because they played like, they're a fourth position team, like a Champions League team. No, it'll be because Spurs, did the Spurs. United, are in disarray. And, West Ham. Brendan Rodgers doing Brendan Rodgers things. So if they finish fourth, which, they could, it won't be because they played well enough to deserve that fourth spot. It will be because everybody else flopped. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't make progress. Hold on, Steve. That doesn't mean they didn't make progress. I think they've made progress. The true measure of the progress they made will be seen next season, right? If they make it in Europa League and they go really far in the competition, right, or even win it, then we can measure that then we can say that's true progress. Or next season, if they finish fourth and they played, throughout the season like a team that actually, look like a real number 4 team, then we can say it's progress. What I like that they're doing is that they're even though a lot of people disagree, they're pushing out players that look like they're having a huge, there's a huge weight on the wage bill. People like Aubameyang, like Lacazette is on the way out. I think he's on the way out. Aubameyang gone. Even though Nketiah is not I don't believe he's an Arsenal level striker. He's doing the little bit he can. Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Bukayo Saka, people like El Neni are standing up and being counted. So I think they are doing what United is supposed to be doing, right? They're not going for they shouldn't. They haven't so far, and they shouldn't be going for the big name Declan Rice and Peas, all that stuff. No. Forget all of that. They're building a true team And the work Arteta is doing, I think we'll see whether they've made true progress by how they perform in Europe and in the league next season.
Okay, Steven, I didn't want you have thoughts. You have response to that, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think the Europa League or performance in Europe has anything to do with progress. Like we were in the semi-final of that competition and the final of that competition and finishing seventh and eighth. I don't think Europe has anything to do with it. The test and the proof of progress is how Arsenal do against the rest of the league. So again, the table doesn't lie. So United should be better, Spurs should be better. 100% agree with that. That we're taking advantage of that if we get fourth, but we're a Europa League side. To be honest, I believe, right? So if now from this point we get Champions League for whatever reason, the next step is to not do what United did when they finished second and assume that all is well, to your point, and go and say, oh, now we're going to go and get Sancho and Varane and whoever because the team just needs to be rounded out. The team doesn't need to be rounded out. The team needs to be progressed, right? Where that's the step that we've taken, right? So this year, getting rid of all of the players that we got rid of was the step that United should have taken when they finished second, when they were in the Champions League, when they had the opportunity to do it. But they didn't. They tried to just say, hey, we're a good team. We finished second. We're close to challenging for the title. We only need 3 players. Arsenal can't do that. If we get into the top 4, it's just to keep doing what we've been doing. It's another 2 or 3 good, young, 24, 25-year-old players, I would say, that's progressing and improving the squad to get away from everybody that's chasing the top 4. It's not looking up yet. Like, you're not looking up yet until you got separation between you and the rest. Like, Chelsea are where Arsenal should be looking at next. Where you're in the top 4 and you know you're in the top 4. You're comfortable.
Yeah. And Stephen, my point was that if you finish top 4, don't be like us and think that's progress. Because when we finished second, that was not progress. And the evidence that it was not progress is what we did the next season, right? So people thought that was progress, but it was really not. And also with the whole Europa League point, my point was Europa League and how you do in the league. I'm never want to measure progress like just what you do in the cup, because cups anything can happen. How you play in the league, it matters as well, because league it's 38 games, right? It's it's where you gather evidence. That's what I do with league games. I gather evidence from game 1 to game 38.
But when you talk about progress, that's kind of where I'm saying. It's like up until that last little spell a couple of weeks back with the Brighton, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Arsenal have been beating everybody else in the league except the teams in the top 6. That is the progress. Like they're beating the team they're supposed to beat. Like that is the progress. So what I'm saying is you got to keep.
Let me jump in a little bit, right, about that part. So if you remember, first half of the season, Arsenal was not playing well. Let's be serious here. Arsenal wasn't playing
Brentford.
No, I'm not.
That was first 3 games though.
Not first
the first 3 games, yeah.
Half of the season, Arsenal was up and down. You guys were a lot of draws. You guys were not creating anything. Let's be clear. Arsenal's creation, even the numbers, Arsenal's creation dropped in like January. Arsenal were not creating chances. You were not. And I was very doubtful of Arteta because that was what I was paying attention to. I was looking at the underlying numbers. Arsenal was not creating with a full team, by the way.
No. But again, this is what I'm saying about pieces, right? Yeah. It's about the pieces. So the team still isn't creating a ton of chances, right? Yeah. But I think I was seeing somewhere that since November, Odegaard, for example, has created the most chances in the Premier League since November. And he's playing with Nketiah and Lacazette. That is the problem. So you solve the striker problem, you solve your midfield problem, and you progress again. And the fact that you've got young players like an Odegaard, a Saka, a Smith Rowe, a Martinelli, these guys are going to get better the more that they play. Right. So the aim of the game is to keep hold of the good players you have, keep developing them, and improve the weaknesses, because we aren't scoring enough. We aren't still solid at the back once we lose 1 or 2 players, right? Because, again, those are all things, those are facts. Those are facts.
I'm just waiting for Bukayo Saka to leave Arsenal in the next 2 years. I know it's
I don't think that's happening.
Since the modern era of top 4 finishing and number throws away nuance, that's why we're having all this argument. Steven, 100%. I think always agree with your point. Spliff says Arsenal have deviated from Reputation FC, while United dive into it head first. Arsenal are reaping the fruits of playing players who need to be in the starting level. Arteta is not trying to shoehorn. Good point.
Done.
Good point. I think there's a there's a joint up thinking there with Arsenal and I guess Edu or the board, whoever is recruiting players with Arteta and Edu, and you can see it on the pitch. Let's move on so that we don't spend too much time. Eric Ten Hag, uh, there was announced a couple of days ago, just like United know how to do social media FC. After a bad result, they announced something very quickly to like make the fans.
Yeah,
You know, I was saying this, right? I
yeah,
knew that this was going to happen.
yeah,
And they announced it. I was just laughing the following morning. I look at these people. Aaron Ten Hag, there's some backroom changes. I think head of scouts, Marcel Bout and Jim Lelo, they both left scouts. United. What that means, I don't know. There were reports that came out that because some people were saying this is good. Guy Neville was backing it like, oh, those guys were not in charge of transfers or whatever. And somebody asked the questions like how they were part of the transfer committee officially. How do they have hands in recruitment? That doesn't make any sense. So that part I don't know. So me, I'll say my quick thoughts about Ten Hag. I'm happy to get Ten Hag. Um, I understand there's an up and coming young manager who's on the rise. It's kind of the flavor of the month. Now, why I am happy versus why the board gets it might be two different reasons, right? In my personal opinion, the reason why Ten Hag was got because he has a cheaper release clause from Ajax than
yeah,
Pochettino.
yep,
He's the flavor of the month. Everybody has been talking a lot about him, and because his reputation is young players built to the Glazers and who make decisions like that. It's like, ooh, he's going to save us some money. That's why they got Ten Hag. Let's be clear. In my opinion, when I look
yeah,
at United ball, I'm looking from a cynical point of view. That's why they didn't go for Poch. Poch release cost like maybe 10, 15 million, and PSG are going to double down on it.
yeah.
So they went to Ten Hag. So that's my personal
Ten
opinion.
Hag was like what 1.5 or something.
Yeah. So that's why. And of course, there's Van der Sar there, right? Van der Sar United ties. I like Ten Hag. I like the appointment. That's fine. The most critical part, in my opinion, like I've said so many times, is what's happening above Ten Hag. Are they willing to take a step back next season? Because that's what's going to happen. We're going to have to cut a lot of players. United is not bankrolled by sugar daddy. Nobody's going to like say I'm going to eat the cost of Ronaldo's 400,000 transfer or like that's not what's going to happen. We are run like Liverpool, like people are taking we're even worse. We take out dividends, all of that. So what's going to happen is maybe they'll bring in 3-4 players next season. So we're going to have to take a step back. That's what's going to happen next season. Are they going to be willing to understand what that means? That's number one. Number two, are they going to understand? Are they going to give him full power? They keep saying, are they going to give him power? If he comes in and says, oh, Maguire doesn't fit my plan and becomes a bench guy, and tries to like incorporate him, when we have bad results, are they going to throw him under the bus? Are they going to throw Ten Hag under the bus? Like those are the things that the board needs to ask themselves. Are they going to recruit his profile of players? If he says for CDM, I want it to be my number one target, are they going to do that? Rather than going for Declan Rice or saying they're going for Harry Kane, because they know he's going to sell jerseys. Like those for me, those are the key parts. I like Ten Hag. I watch his teams. I would say for sure, I'm also slightly doubtful how you can replicate, because he was working the system, replicate Ajax system and recruitment and transfer it over to the Premier League. All the best coaches struggled with it. When Klopp first came, he struggled with how physical in replicating his football. He struggled until he figured it out. Van Gaal struggled. Pep struggled for a little bit. He had way more money and way more talent. Those are the things I'm looking forward more to. So until we get a director of football above Ten Hag, because like I said, Ralph Ragnick is a side man. They've made it obvious that this man's a side man. We don't really care about him. Until we get a director of football, I am not about optimistic as some other United fans. That's my opinion. Oga Kwame, you want to go?
Yeah. So with the Ten Hag appointment, I think I like the appointment as well. With the options that were available, I think we picked the best option. Again, like I don't know if they picked him for the right reason.
Yeah.
But either way, they stumbled their way to the correct answer. And I had to think about this a little bit. Since 2013, I think I've not seen a true rebuild at Manchester United. We've been talking about this rebuild. I've never seen a house that's taken 10 years to complete. The regular house, not a freaking palace. But when we hired Moyes, even Moyes will admit that he was never ready for United. So that was a wash. Then Louis Van Gaal came. Van Gaal was the closest we had to rebuilding anything because he brought in a lot of young players. I remember seeing Tyler Blackhead, and the rest of them. The only problem with Van Gaal was, again, I feel like it was toward the tail end of his career, and we were still signing crazy players then. I mean, Di Maria for 60 million, Radamel Falcao, that was still, we were still making dumb signings. Then Jose came, and again, nah. And then Ollie never even graduated coaching school. So this is the opportunity we have. This is, for me, this is our first opportunity to do a true rebuild. And when you're doing a true rebuild, again, like I said, I don't want Declan Rice. I'm not. You don't make the glamorous 100 million pound signing when you're doing a true rebuild. Like, I have Rice here and I went to the farmers market and bought it for like $25. I don't need to pay 100 million pounds for Rice. I have Rice at home. Right. I don't need. I don't want Harry Kane. I don't want Sugar Cane. I don't want any of the Canes, bro. I don't want any of that. I want players who are on their first and second contracts. That's what we need in this team, and that means we're gonna need, I don't want to say mass exodus, but there's gonna have to be some significant exits. In terms of what happens above Ten Hag, honestly, bro, who knows? Who knows with this club? The only slight bit that gives me confidence is that, I think Ten Hag came out and spoke, and he said, "Look, I had a list of things that I required, and if they did not, if I didn't get those things, I would have never signed the contract." He sounds like a very detail oriented person. I hear he reads his own contracts himself, and I just hope that we give him the tools to do a complete rebuild. And look, if the rebuilding means that I'm out of Europe for the next 3 years, that's cool. That's fine. If it means,
that would not be cool with the board, though.
bruh, let me tell you something.
Years? Next year, yes, not 3. 3 would not work with the board. Let's be serious. It's be a baseline measure of progress. You can't just be out of Europe for 3 years. No, nobody.
Fine. Okay, maybe 1 year, and then the next season we play and win Europa League, and then we go into the Champions League.
Right? Yes, there should be progress.
Yeah. But I'm tired of the Hollywood signings. I'm tired of it, and that's what I do not want to see at this football club.
Steven has some comments. I can see he's chomping at the bit.
Even Ray has comments.
No, Steven has some comments. He agrees with some things I said. But let me take comments.
No.
Let me take some comments.
No. I'm just listening.
Okay. Steve said he needs to be earning 1 million hard to solve United's problems. I swear, I know. That's a good one. Earning 1 million hard. All right, cool. I actually think Port would have been more PR than ETH. Yeah, but if ETH is not giving Stephen Power influence to get it, Port is the safer option. I think the fans still need their appointment ETH. In my opinion, there wouldn't have been a wrong choice between both. Yeah, I agree with the second sentence. I don't know about the fans part. I don't think that. I agree with the second sentence. I think Port just gets too much flack for people who don't pay attention to the work he does. LVG, I think, was done by Di Maria. Okay, LVG signing. Yep, I'm just rushed through. I think ETH is going to be in for a shock as to how bad that. When fans see it week in, week out, outside looking, you won't really understand.
I agree.
We have to realize that United are a big club and they will still have commercial obligations as sponsors. I was going to say that too. That's why we can't be out for 3 years. That's impossible. He'll get fired. No, he'll get fired. That's what happened. We have to face the reality in front of us. I fear we'll still be making the right signings here and there. Oh, Lord. I hope that happens.
No.
Ray, I think since Stephen said they have come, Ray, what are your thoughts about Ten Hag?
Okay, yeah, I agree with a couple of things you both said. The one thing I didn't think we touched on, I think Kwame touched on it a little bit. It was, we understand the United board, but then our United fans, because, you mentioned you want a rebuild, but then you also mentioned, by next year, though, we need to back in the Champions League. To me, those timelines, logically speaking, if you really want to rebuild with the United squad as it is, it's going to take at least 2 years, probably in the Europa Conference League sort of level, whatever that means, if you really want to rebuild to sort of like fix a lot of the issues that United has. And the reason I say that is, but that's so the question I have is, do United fans have like maybe you both do, but do most United fans have that patience? And I think I always find that's the dilemma that United board, and I'm not justifying their behaviors. They always have that dilemma where it's like they want to quickly appease the fans, but honestly, you need to make that tough call and completely if you want someone like Ten Hag to succeed. The way I see him is kind of like a obviously he's is more experience or more has more sort of accolades than Arteta when we signed him, obviously. But I see the similarity in the sense of a young progressive coach. And if you want to fix, because United's issues are usually the fact that you just buy players, throw them in there, try to see if it works, just to recreate that feeling for the fans, and that's not gotten you anywhere, right? So what I'm thinking is if you give this guy 1 year and like, oh, we're not where we want to be, you're almost going to start repeating the same problems. So, I mean, for United, I say, you do have, I think, 4 or 5 players out of contract this summer. So, I mean, that takes care of that itself. But you still have a lot of players that you need time to get off the wage bill, bring new players in, let them assimilate to the league. You can't just buy 5 players and think they're all going to just work out. You know what I mean? So I'm seeing a timeline of at least 2 years of like not being in Europe or whatever, maybe Conference League, whatever level is, to really allow to see if Ten Hag's going to be successful in it. There's no guarantee he's going to be successful after that either, but that's the risk you have to take, right? But if you're like, oh, we need to be back in Europe after a year and a half, to me, you're just going to end up doing the same thing. That's my opinion. Because then you'd be like, oh, because you always have Poch in the back of your mind, like, oh, I guess we'll bring Poch if we need to. So that's one thing I say you need to be cautious about. Pot, and then I'll touch on Poch a little bit. It's interesting because for the longest time, I was always under the opinion that United should have brought Poch a while ago, like earlier, like last summer, or replacing Ollie, because kind of what he started with Tottenham, and then United, if they kind of handed him, he was already used to the league. But something I don't know what I think Poch's sort of his values dropped a little bit. Whether it's all his fault or not, I think by going to PSG is always going to be a hard job. But I think for some reason his values kind of dropped a bit, and I feel if United brings him in, the expectation would be he needs to be almost as successful immediately compared to like 2 years ago. If you got Poch 2 years ago, then yeah, I think that would have been like a good marriage. But now it's kind of like, again, I'm just kind of making some assumptions here, but I think, or maybe even for himself as well, he might want to prove himself quickly because he's won the league at PSG, cool, but that job is always a tough job, anyways, right? So that's what I would say. I would warn United against, like if you want to if you're going to Ten Hag, let him have a rebuild, and that involves a whole lot of the board. I mean, Arsenal, we're still doing our thing, but you've seen all the, from the people on the board, then it changed people on the board 2, 3 times while still keeping the manager. I think United is going to have a little bit of that, while also there's that pressure of the commercial side of things. So if the patients have a bit of more, sorry, if the fans have a bit more patience than 1 year, then he has an opportunity to be successful. But if it's like, you see, especially if you see, and I get it, you see Man U, Liverpool, Chelsea, and then United sort of trying to get the identity with the new players, and if fans might get restless, and I think that's something that fans need to be. If you really want to rebuild, you need to have the patience.
Yeah, especially when there's just too much resources now, right? Steve, do you have thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying, but I think the biggest issue with Ten Hag coming in now is the fact that I still don't see the plan. So, and by that I mean you bringing in a manager that is a young manager that's basically got a reputation that's really good in the game, right? But who's he working with? Like you're saying power and control. He's never been in control of signings at a club. Like, and you're now going to ask him to do that at Manchester United. Like, that's the Arteta situation all over again. The difference it was that, right, Arsenal went the complete opposite, where it was a rookie manager, rookie director of football, rookie chief exec. It was all the way through, right? So they're all learning on the job, which is why they're kind of developing together. But United have hired a director of football and then hired the manager, and you don't know who's making the decisions still, right? And then you still got Ranić hanging around in the background as well. So I just think it's I think Ten Hag's a great manager. I think he's got the potential to be a great manager, but I just think the circus around United is going to be too much if they don't figure out who's in charge and who's making decisions. Whereas all of these other clubs are really clear on who does what. United are still, oh, we're going to give him the power, or he's in control, or he's in charge. If Arsenal make a bad signing, Edu gets blamed. Simple. Like, I don't know who that person is at United still, and until that gets fixed, I just don't think a manager is going to help. And you've had 4 or 5 of the best managers in the world, regardless of how they did in the job. So that should tell you everything, right?
Yeah,
Outside of Ole, all of those other guys are top boys in their job, regardless of when they came.
yeah.
So I don't. I think the issue is behind the scenes. It's in terms of the decision making, and I don't think the appointment makes sense. And then even on the Pochettino thing, you rushed the decision. You didn't have to make an announcement now. Pochettino's just been fired. So PSG are letting Pochettino go at the end of the
Wait,
season.
he's
So
been
all of this,
fired?
apparently, they're letting him go at the end of the season. They made an
Nope.
announcement. That's what the announcement is.
Oh,
So
really?
if that's the situation, you could have waited a couple of months and you'd have got him for free. Like I just think United are just trying to. That whole announcement was to appease the fans. To your point you made after a terrible result against Liverpool. It's
Yep.
a rush thing, and the plan isn't there. So that's kind of why I'm like, yeah, I agree. I don't care enough about United to be upset about it. But I don't see the plan. I don't see the vision around what they're trying to do. Like
Same
that's
here.
the bigger issue.
Same here. Same here. That's kind of where I am. Same here. Let me take comments. I'll get comment 1 second. I can see you. You wanted to give a comeback.
Oh.
Like Roy said, it's about timing for me. Poch after Ole Inter would have been a good timing. Most posts, Alex, appointment have been bad timings and not bad managers per Ole. This is the first time we're getting the timing right. Even if ETH Ten Hag fails, it wouldn't be because it's not a footballing decision. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Do you have something to say? Okay.
Yeah, I still think Ten Hag was the better footballing decision. Again, why and how they announced it, the motivations are, totally different. They stumbled on the right answer. United, they do it all the time. As soon as we lose a huge game, especially in an embarrassing fashion, they do something to make us forget, to make us suddenly develop amnesia. So either way, I think if Ten Hag was the right decision, Poch, nah.
I know you don't like him, but we don't
It's
know why.
it's not that it's not that I don't like Poch. It's not that I don't like Poch. I think I think the way he the way he failed at Spurs, of course. Again, he succeeded at Spurs. I would say overall, his time at Spurs was a success. Um, the way he failed at Spurs is not reason, right, for us to say, oh well, that is, he failed for different reasons. Those reasons are not going to exist at Manchester United. They will. They will exist at Manchester United. And going to PSG, Poch's PSG journey, for me, honestly, doesn't. I'm not counting that in part of why he should or should not come to Manchester United. Because for me, I don't. First of all, a farmer can go to coach at PSG and they'll win League A, right? And his Champions League failures at PSG, I don't really put much stock into that. Again, because PSG are just a French United. Those players are pampered as heck. Like I hear he's having to deal with arranging accommodation for somebody's uncle, Neymar's uncle, or Di Maria's uncle coming into town. That's just crazy. So I think for me, Pochettino's career has not gone up or gone down since he left Tottenham, and I just don't think I just need something fresher than him.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go to predictions quickly. Champions League predictions. So just quickly, just predictions. We don't need to go into detail of the match. Let me see what I'll start with. Let me start with Ray. Man City, Real Madrid. Who do you predict?
I think, Madrid has that experience, but I think Man City would edge them. Just I'm trying to keep it as brief as possible. Yeah, because obviously, watching the Madrid Chelsea game, Chelsea had a bad first game, and Madrid took advantage of it. And Chelsea, it was too deep of a hole for Chelsea to get past. So I think Man City will be able to edge Madrid. It would be closer than you think, though. And I think for Villarreal, am I talking both? For
Yeah.
Villarreal, Liverpool, I think Unai Emery's. I think it's going to end with Liverpool. It's
Okay.
not going to be. I mean, it's not going. Liverpool's probably not going to blow them out, but I think Liverpool has just enough firepower to sort of like squeeze through. If you know what I mean. Like, they just have too much firepower. I mean, they played Atletico, so I think Liverpool will be able to squeeze through. So yeah, it'll be Liverpool, Man City again, final. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Steven.
Yeah, the only team stopping Manchester City and Liverpool are Manchester City and Liverpool. That's simple.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
I got comment.
Yeah, I think my heart wants Real Madrid to beat Manchester City, but I just see how it happens, and that's because despite the brilliance of Luka Modric and Benzema and all those things, the way Real Madrid played that second leg against Chelsea, you cannot be that volatile against Manchester City and expect to go through. It's not going to happen. Even Manchester City, they had a volatile moment where they collapsed against Liverpool in the was it the FA Cup they just played?
Yeah.
And they didn't come back from it. They almost did, but they didn't. So if Real Madrid has shown me that as brilliant as they can be, they can also collapse. And if you collapse like that, or look like you can collapse against Manchester City, they will eat you alive. Liverpool. Let's just move on to the next topic.
Yeah, best 11. It's best 11 against best 11. Like Pep tried to be clever in the FA Cup, and that cost him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I agree with both of you. I think that you remember when the brackets came out, I'd been saying it. You know that about Ogakwame. I've been saying it like Liverpool are going to the final. It's going to be like multiple finals or like clashes. So
yeah.
Like,
they win the quadruple, bro. We have to move to a remote country.
Let's not think about that here.
All of us have to if that happens. If that happens, all of us have to. It's not just United.
Got to bring the Super League if that happens.
Exactly.
I know.
We'll start protests for Super League. Me, I'm thinking about my wonderful trips in the summer. Let's not think about Liverpool winning quadruple. Let's go quickly and smoothly to Kudos and Donkey of the Week. Who wants to start? I got a comment. I'll let you start. I feel like you have.
Honestly, Kudos of the Week. I'll give it to the whole Arsenal team, as much as it pains me to. Beating Chelsea and Manchester United in a matter of days. That's huge. I'll give it to them. Donkey of the Week, bruh, it has to be Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes by himself lost that Arsenal game. And as much as it was a terrible team performance, Bruno Fernandes managed to stand out and eclipse the terrible nature of Manchester United in that game. He was worse than Maguire, and Maguire did not even play.
Okay. Ray, Kudos and Donkey.
Donkey, I would agree. I would probably say Bruno Fernandes as well. Nothing else to say there. He's Donkey of the Week. The Kudos of the Week, I will. You know what? I'm torn between Arteta and El Neni, and they're both for the same reason. So with Arteta, he saw we needed something different in midfield because he tried Lukonga earlier, so he brought in El Neni just to shore it up at the back. And so that is was a huge catalyst in terms of how we were able to win against Chelsea and United, and then El Nani as well for his performance. So I would sort of cheat there and give it to both Arteta and El Nani for those reasons. Okay. They'll share it for me. Yeah,
that's good. Before Steve goes, somebody says Kudos CR7.
Yeah,
awful week for him and his family. That's true. Great strength to come back and continue. That's true. And he played very well against Arsenal. Steven, who's your Kudos and Donkey of the Week?
No, Kudos of the Week will be Arsenal, just in terms of the recovery, because again, everybody was kind of waiting for the wheels to completely come off this week. So I think Kudos goes for that, just kind of recovering after those 3 defeats in those big games. And then in terms of Donkey, I'm kind of torn because I'm kind of looking at the bottom of the table. And I was kind of looking at it's not necessarily for the week, but I think Everton are in a lot of trouble.
So Everton lost today?
They lost.
Yeah, they lost today to Liverpool, and the games that they have left, I just don't know. At that appointment of Lampard in the circumstances, I just think it was a
No,
bad call,
it's
and
a
I
bad.
think they're in a lot. I think they're in a lot of trouble. So I kind of
And
giving it
Burnley
to them.
won today too. Burnley won
Yeah,
today too, right?
exactly. They're in the bottom three right now. They're in the bottom three right now, and they have. I think they have Leicester, Tottenham, Chelsea. They got some really hard games as well. I think they're in a lot of trouble.
So, to call you up, didn't Everton pay 41 million for Dele Alli in 2022 or
No, they
35
only have
million?
to. No. They pay that if certain clauses are met, which
They have
obviously
an
won't be
option.
met.
Yeah, it's an option to buy them.
Ah, okay. Whew. That would have been
So
like
yeah,
donkey of the
But
century for
but
that.
Everton does have a
no, but
game in hand. Everton has a game in
yeah,
hand. Okay.
yeah, they have a game in hand, but the game's in hand. And like I said, I think Burnley play Aston Villa twice and Watford.
Oh.
Like, so when you're thinking that they have, so then you go the other way and you say that Everton have got to play Leicester, they got to play Chelsea. I think they got to play Newcastle. I think, again,
And then,
they got to play
Yeah,
Arsenal. Like
they're gone. They're gone.
they're in a lot of trouble, I think. And
Yeah.
if they go down again, they're one of those teams in financial fair play trouble. So you're talking Derby situation again, right? So go down points deduction.
Yeah.
Like they're in a
That,
lot of trouble.
that was a dumb appointment by them for sure.
That was a
Very,
dumb appointment. I mean, hey, let's not. Burnley also made a dumb decision, but I guess
yeah, they escaped.
But I don't think Burnley was a dumb decision. I think Burnley
no,
don't
rest.
care.
They don't care. That's true. They don't care. That's
I
right.
don't think they care. I think that because remember they got new owners, right? They changed the owners at the
that is
start
true.
of the season,
Yeah.
so I don't think they care.
It was a
Yeah.
calculated risk with Burnley, I would say.
You said what?
I said it's a calculated risk at Burnley, and it may or may not work out. Whereas
Yeah.
Everton just a bunch of bad decisions back to back to back to back to
Everton is.
back.
Yeah.
Everton is just they're a Manchester United with less money.
David Benson says, shout out to Shaka as well for everything he's gone through. Fair.
Yes.
I'll keep mine. My kudos, Bukayo Saka scoring 2 pressure penalties.
Yeah.
In the week against Chelsea. Chelsea one was impressive because he did some dark outs today, right?
He did.
And by calling Aspie. What's that
But
name?
I like that. I like seeing that.
Dark outs by calling Aspie. He gets that. My donkey is the ref against Arsenal. It's not the ref. I don't really care. I've checked out a long time ago. But the ref is a donkey too, though. Because we know Arsenal fans that have been talking about crying on our timeline. If this went against them. We know this.
We know. Yeah.
I love the fact that you lot sound like us from 2 years ago, though.
No,
I love the fact you're crying. You're talking about
No.
rebuilds. You're talking about trusting the process. You're
We
talking
sound
about
like you
referees.
guys from every season, though.
for every season.
Yeah.
We're not just from 2 years ago. We sound like you
Actually,
guys
my
from every
donkey
season.
are fullback. The Lord, overrated. He's okay. But the person I'm focusing on is, I know you used to be, but I was telling you how trash he was. Alexander Telles is trashy trash. Telles is a trash fullback. He's terrible. He's from El Salvador. He's not Brazilian. It's terrible. Alexander Telles is terrible.
I think the fact that you skip Varane, right, and go to how trash Tellers was, that is just so unfair. What? How do you skip? Do you see how bad Varane was?
Your entire defense is bad.
That's just one game.
It was somehow worse without Harry Maguire. Somehow.
Varane was bad yesterday. I'm not going to take it. Was really bad. It was bad.
You know what a better question would be? Is like one question for you guys though. Like you got so many things to fix.
Yeah.
Who stays?
Ooh.
Oh, let me tell you, it's easier to say who stays than who goes. Okay?
Exactly. Who stays?
De Gea stays.
And if you see, and I was waiting for you to say that.
Hold on,
because he's a problem as well.
I'm starting from that. De Gea stays. Nobody in the defense stays. Maybe Lindelof stays as a backup defender to somebody better. Nobody in the midfield stays. And only Sancho stays up front. Elanga, dead.
He's just joking.
Like 28 players.
So 4 players. So everybody else can be gone. I'd rather play. I'd rather play with 4 players.
Yeah, I don't want to extend the podcast too long, but yeah, I think a lot of fans will leave, and we leave new fullbacks for sure. Tellers, go back to El Salvador. That's why we're ending the podcast. I'm not.
And they can take Varane with him.
Yeah, nah.
And Wan-Bissaka.
Varane has been way good. No, I don't have Varane there. Tellers, trash. Wan-Bissaka, trash. Sliding tackles, I don't care about those things like that. Dalot, trash. We have only one decent fullback. Sure. The rest, trash.
Let's just end this podcast. Let's go.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Stephen, thanks for coming. Good to have you. Ray,
Yes.
thanks for taking time out. I know you have to.
No, thank
long
you.
drive. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
And everyone for coming. Thanks. Like, share, subscribe, and we're out.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.